بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. On the Day of Judgment, people will be going through difficulties or ease based on their account with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Al-Ma'arij, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it is a day مقداره 50,000 سنة, that is 50,000 years long. In the other place, in Surah As-Sajda, ألف سنة, 1,000 years. So one of the ways that Mufassirin have reconciled the two verses is that this length will be based on the extent of people's sinfulness. The more sinful the people were, the longer that day will be for them. Then a person who is proven guilty on that day, in other words, their bad deeds have outweighed their good deeds, and they're stuck. They've basically been sentenced to Jahannam. So this person is going to fall into a state of extreme desperation and panic. يَوَدُّ الْمُجْرِمُ لَوْ يَفْتَدِي مِنْ عَذَابِ يَوْمِئِذ. He is going to want to ransom himself, rescue himself, in other words, pay something and somehow get himself released. But of course, there is no currency of wealth on that day. There is no type of money that can be used. He will want to give some of his sins off to someone, but that's also not possible. He will think of possibly borrowing someone else's good deeds, but that will also not be possible, because when people see each other, when even the closest relatives see each other, they will run, they will flee out of this fear that they might ask me for a good deed. يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ. A person is going to run away from all his dear ones. Then this person will say, okay, oh Allah, I have one way that I can ransom myself, and that is that I am ready to give up one of my close people. You take them in my place. And who will he begin with? He will begin with his children. Say, oh Allah, you take them, put them in Jahannam, and let me go. Now, this is an extremely frightening thing, because a person would have to be in the depths of extreme panic and desperation to say something like this. Otherwise, normally in the world, the practice and the norm is that parents are always sacrificing their comforts for the sake of their children. Parents will stay hungry so that the children can eat. They will stay awake so that the children can sleep. They will endure hardship so that the children can have ease. In Akhirah, all of those things will come to an end. And it will be a state of nafsi. Everyone will want to salvage themselves and save themselves. So he will say, oh Allah, you take my sons or my children, bibanihi, you take them, even if there's more than one, however many children he has, take all of them and put them in Jahannam in my place and let me go. This plea will be rejected. So then he will not stop and think that, what did I just say? how could I have said such a thing? No. He'll make the next offer. He will say, oh Allah, take my wife. The one that he spent his life with, the one that he shared so many difficulties and hardships, as well as good times, and how much they endured together after spending a whole life together. And that nearness and closeness, it won't matter there. So he'll say, okay, take my wife. This will also be rejected. Now, what's the way some Mufassirin have explained it is that he'll keep adding people to this. It's not that if you can't accept them, then take them. He'll say, no, I'll add one more person to the ransom. So he'll be adding his wife to the ransom of his children. That will also be rejected. Then he will offer his brother, his siblings. Let's add them to the ransom. So take all of these, in other words, all my family members. It will still not work. Then he will say, okay, fine, take all my relatives. وَعَشِيرَتِهِ الَّتِي تُؤْوِيهِ. All his relatives, extended family, uncles, aunts, cousins, nieces and nephews, whoever he had, that family that gave him a place and gave him importance, that he used to turn to for shelter and for support, وَفَصِيلَتِهِ الَّتِي تُؤْوِيهِ. Then, when this is also rejected, he will say, وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. O Allah, take all of the people of this earth. If my family, my tribe, is not enough, then take all of the people of dunya, all of the people that dwelled in the world, throw them in Jahannam and let me go. So the answer will be very plain. Kalla. Never. Forget about this. إِنَّهَا لَظَى. This fire now is going to stay with you. It is not going to leave you alone. And then the Quran describes what this is going to do. نَزَّاعَةً لِلشَّوَى. This fire is going to burn and scald the skin right off of your skull. And if you try to run, تَدْعُو مَنْ أَدْبَرَ وَتَوَلَّى وَجَمَعَ فَأَوْعَى. This fire will be calling. It will be summoning. Who? All of those people that turned away from Allah's warnings in dunya. Those who turned their back, adbara. Those who turned their back to Allah's reminders. وَتَوَلَّى, turned their face away. Walked away from it. وَجَمَعَ فَأَوْعَى, and was just occupied with trying to collect assets, trying to collect wealth, and then keeping track of it. So if this is all a person had to show on the Day of Judgment, then there will be nothing but panic and remorse and regret and pain. Why does the human being do this? One of the reasons is that the human being has been created halua. Innal insana khuliqa halua. The verses are continuing. There's a sequence here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now speaking to the nature of the human being, that he is very halur. So what is halur? The Quran explains, إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. When any kind of difficulty arises, he panics. And when he gains something, he wants to keep it all to himself. So because of these two tendencies, the tendency of fleeing from and being frightened from potential difficulty, and the tendency to try to get as much as a person can and keep it to himself, this is between these two tendencies, a person forgets about akhirah. They forget about rights, they forget about akhlaq, they forget about many, many things. The reminders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the greater duties that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed on us, a person becomes completely unmindful of all of these things. But then there are some people that Allah saves from this. We're talking about duties, responsibilities. There are some people who manage to keep themselves grounded and rooted in their responsibilities, duties, and in certain characteristics. Because of that, they manage to get out. And because of that, they manage to conquer these two tendencies of panicking and losing control, going out of control. And we saw what was happening in the world when the coronavirus was breaking out. What condition was the world in? And what were people doing in the marketplaces, in the stores? What was happening out there? إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا. Panic. Cold fear. And when they have access to anything good, manure, I want it all for myself. Their patterns in the shopping centers display. This is that nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has identified. Because it's our true nature, it will always be there. It will always be seen, visible. It's just a matter of whether we can see it or not and identify it for what it is. So who are those people that will be able to conquer this tendency and therefore avoid that catastrophe that Allah mentioned in the beginning? إِلَّا الْمُصَلِّينَ. First quality is salat. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ دَائِمُونَ. Those musallis who are very consistent, very regular in their salat. Da'im. So they are regular, they are disciplined, they don't compromise. What else? وَالَّذِينَ فِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ. In their wealth is a share that they know. They know is designated and fixed for other people. So whatever wealth they have, حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ. For two categories of people. لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. Those who come and ask for their need and say, look, can you help me out? I require some assistance. So those types of people. Or the mahroom, the one who doesn't have and he doesn't know who to ask either and doesn't want to ask anyone. So those who come to them for assistance, they will help them. And those who don't, they will go and look for them. And they have a share of their wealth that they have dedicated for this. وَالَّذِينَ يُصَدِّقُونَ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. These people are very firm in their belief of the hereafter. Their life revolves around preparation for the hereafter. They believe in everything Allah and His Rasul ﷺ have told them about the hereafter. So it's all about preparing for that and not doing anything to disrupt, to disturb, to destroy their future on that day. وَالَّذِينَ هُم مِّنْ عَذَابِ رَبِّهِمْ مُشْفِقُونَ. They are afraid of the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ عَذَابَ رَبِّهِمْ غَيْرُ مَأْمُونَ. There is no guarantee for them that Allah is not going to punish them or Allah can't punish them. They don't take this for granted, that no, I've prayed, I fasted, therefore I'm immune to the punishment of Allah. They do not consider themselves to have any type of immunity from Allah's displeasure, because anyone can make a mistake that is very heavy in the scale of deeds in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like anyone can do a deed that might seem insignificant, but it is so heavy that it gets a person forgiven. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. These people guard their honor and their dignity. They do not get involved in illicit or haram relationships. إِلَّا عَلَىٰ أَزْوَاجِهِمْ وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ غَيْرُ مَلُومِينَ فَمَنِ ابْتَغَىٰ وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. Anyone who seeks pleasure and enjoyment out of what is halal, this person is a transgressor. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. These people are extremely careful about the responsibilities and the trusts that are placed on their shoulders. Anything that is entrusted to them, they are extremely careful with it. Whether it's someone's life or someone's wealth, whether it's someone's respect and honor or it's someone's belongings, they are extremely careful with trusts. And speaking of trusts, I think tonight's the 27th night, so we can speak a little bit longer, I think. A hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari regarding trust from Hudayfa radiallahu anhu. He says that إِنَّ الْأَمَانَةَ نَزَلَتْ فِي جَذْرِ قُلُوبِ الرِّجَالِ. Amana, trustworthiness, first came into the hearts of people, into the cores of the hearts of the people, meaning the Muslims. He is talking about how they learned deen. What was the process? How did they evolve into what they became? So where did it start? In the beginning, the emphasis was all on becoming a good person. A good, reliable, trustworthy person. Like our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was since his childhood. He was known as a Sadiq and Al-Amin long before he got prophethood. He was a good, trustworthy, reliable person. This quality came into the cores of people's hearts. ثُمَّ عَلِمُوا مِنَ الْكِتَابِ ثُمَّ عَلِمُوا مِنَ السُنَّةِ. After that, the people, the Sahaba, learned Quran. They learned the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see the sequence. Becoming good people, good, trustworthy, reliable, honest people, and then acquiring the knowledge of deen. Obviously, if a person doesn't evolve in this way, then even the knowledge that they have or the understanding that they have or the practices that they adopt, they will always be using those to find loopholes. And in fact, some people will use religious pretexts for the sake of violating other people's rights. Okay, so they became trustworthy, honest, upright people, good members of society. They learned Quran, they learned Sunnah. Then what happened? Then Hudayfa radiallahu anhu said that, look, this is what continued, and a time will come when amana, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us that a time will come when amana will start leaving people's hearts. And he gave a couple of examples. So one example was like that of a callus on your hand, somebody who works hard, somebody who's holding something, gripping something. People who work out also, they'll get the same thing. Their hands will start getting calloused. But that callus, it might go away after a day. It might go after a day, it might go away after a couple of days. It depends how much, how much damage has happened to the skin. But this is like your regular callus. So it fades away after a little while. Then it will become, the effect of amana will become even lighter. And he said it will become like a small boil, like a small blister that forms when a spark or a hot piece of charcoal were to touch you quickly. Then what happens? You'll get this little burn, and the skin will puff up. It'll blister up, and it might look like it's really big, but it's just filled with water. And if you were to poke it, that water would be drained, and there wouldn't be much trace of it. So like a very, very light burn that just blisters up. So it looks like it's significant, but once it's popped, there's nothing in there really. So like this amana, he's talking about, like there's just going to be little traces of amana that will just fade. You might see a little speck of it here, a little speck of it there, and then it's gone. Then he said a time will come when people will look for a trustworthy person. Who is there that I can trust? And remember that there are two major types of trusts. When I say major, I mean these are the ones that people are tested with most frequently. The most frequent test of amana comes in two forms. One is in the form of someone's respect and honor. If somebody trusts someone with a secret that is of a personal nature, is this person going to guard it, or are they going to somehow let it slip? Or it's a matter that relates to a sensitive issue of a family or something like this. Does a person guard that secret and uphold it, or do they let it slip? And related to this is, in relationships, in families, in marriages, there is trust that is required. A trust needs to be established and maintained. So people will start failing in this regards. And the other major form of trustworthiness that we are tested with is matters involving money, matters involving wealth. Now there are many, many scenarios. An example of one, because it's coming up later in the same hadith, is doing business with someone, going into business with someone, being partners with someone, becoming someone's business partner, and having those kinds of dealings. This is the second major form of amana that people are tested with. And as Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us, like Hudayfa radiallahu anhu was narrating, that this is going to start leaving people. So what's going to happen is people, for example, somebody has some wealth that they need to invest. They're going to look for someone that they can invest it with. Similarly, there's another person who has a business idea, a business proposition, a venture that they would like to do, but they need some capital for it. These two types of people will always exist in the world. There are those who have they have the potential of financing a venture, and then there are those who have the potential of carrying out a venture, but they need the finances. So this is how partnerships come together. And sometimes it's people who are, because there's so many different types of partnerships, we don't have to go into the details of it. But all of those partnerships rest on an issue of trust. And that trust revolves around the management of the money, that which is coming, that which is going, that which is owed to a person, or that which a person needs to pay to another person. In these matters, it becomes very, very delicate and sensitive. So people will find that with the passage of time, it is going to get harder and harder and harder to find a reliable person to go into business with. So people will look and they will search and they will ask around, do you know anyone? It happens even today. Brother, I'm thinking of going into a business. Do you know anyone trustworthy? Do you know anyone that can, that you think is appropriate? Or what do you think about such and such person? Look, I've gone through so many experiences. I want to be really careful now. These are normal talks. We hear them all the time. So people who are searching in one area, they won't find a trustworthy person in their area. They'll hear about a reliable person in some other area, in some other town or some other part of town. And that person is going to be introduced and people will say that, إِنَّ فِي بَنِي فُلَانٍ رَجُلًا أَمِينًا. In such and such neighborhood, in such and such town, there's actually a trustworthy person. Oh, really? What's he like? Oh, he is so amazing. They will praise him. He's like this, and he's like this, and he's like this. So people will go and approach that person for things of the nature that I spoke about. And they will find out that it was all just hype. There was nothing. That person turned out no different from anyone else. So then Hudayfa radiallahu anhu, after narrating this hadith, he says that there was a time when I could trade with anyone. I could conduct business with anyone. If it was a Muslim, his deen would keep him straight. And if he was a non-Muslim, then the people who were ruling that area or looking after that area, they would make sure that no one is swindling, deceiving, tricking, scamming anyone. So the law and order would keep that person upright. But he says, أَمَّا الْيَوْمِ فَلَا أُبَايِعُ إِلَّا فُلَانًا وَفُلَانًا. Today there's only one or two people that I could trust. So وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. These people that will be saved from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on that day, and these people that will overcome these tendencies that lead in that direction, also need to be reliable and trustworthy. And wa'ahdihim means when they give their word. When they give their word for something, then they stand by it. Their word means something. Their commitments mean something. They stand by their commitments. They stand by their promises. They stand by their pledges. They stand by the contracts that they have entered into. Yes, difficulties arise, valid reasons arise, and then a discussion needs to be had. If a person is physically or actually unable to carry through with something, if there's a real obstacle, a true obstacle, for example, someone promised someone that they're going to travel, and then all of a sudden the coronavirus hit and the flights were stopped. Okay, this is not a person breaking their promise. That person had every intention to, and they were prepared to, just as an example. But when there becomes a trend of promising and saying, I'll do this, and then not following through, then this causes a great deal of moral and ethical erosion in society. Society erodes because of this, and no one's words mean anything anymore. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِشَهَادَاتِهِمْ قَائِمُونَ. When they testify, that testimony means something. So they're not going to testify falsely. And when they testify to something, then they stand by it. And then coming back to their salat. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. First it was consistency, da'imun. And here, yuhafidun, they are protective of their salat. They don't let anything tamper with their salat. So this is when a person takes measures to make sure that nothing hinders their salat. Nothing gets in the way of them praying salat the way it needs to be prayed. أُولَٰئِكَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ مُكْرَمُونَ. These people will be in the gardens of paradise, treated with honor. This is the path of earning honor in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and eternal honor of akhirah. These are the qualities that the Quran has laid out for us. So when we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on these nights, with tawbah for example, and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for different things, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's doors are wide open for anyone who asks, we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to adopt all of these things. Because if we spend our lives without these, maybe we get our worldly desires, our needs are fulfilled, our problems go away. But if we do not adopt these characteristics before we die, then it's another issue altogether. So when we look at the du'as of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we find that most of the du'as of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam are based on either seeking protection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from certain types of harms, or asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enrich him with more noble characteristics, with more beautiful characteristics. So if he alayhi salatu wasalam is begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this, then what about us? This is all education for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to use these nights to our advantage and make them a source of our forgiveness and a source of us changing our lives. اللهم لك الحمد كما أنت أهله فصل على محمد كما أنت أهله وافعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله إنك أهل التقوى وأهل المغفرة. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا وأخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به. واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معاصيك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من عادانا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم اجعلنا نخشاك كأننا نراك أبدا حتى نلقاك. اللهم اجعل حبك أحب الأشياء إلينا واجعل خشيتك أخوف الأشياء عندنا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات. اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم به منا. أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم اغفر لنا جدنا وهزلنا وخطأنا وعمدنا وكل ذلك عندنا. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وارض عنا وتقبل منا وادخلنا الجنة ونجنا من النار وأصلح لنا شأننا كله يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. اللهم إنا نسألك إيمانا لا يرتد. اللهم إنا نسألك إيمانا لا يرتد. اللهم إنا نسألك نعيما لا ينفد. اللهم إنا نسألك نعيما لا ينفد. اللهم إنا نسألك مرافقة نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم في أعلى درجة الجنة، جنة الخلد. اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة، ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا حاجة هي لك رضا إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين. يا أرحم الراحمين. يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم مغفرتك أوسع من ذنوبنا، ورحمتك أرجى عندنا من أعمالنا. اللهم مغفرتك أوسع من ذنوبنا، ورحمتك أرجى عندنا من أعمالنا. اللهم مغفرتك أوسع من ذنوبنا، ورحمتك أرجى عندنا من أعمالنا. اللهم لا تجعلنا بدعائك أشقياء، وكن بنا رؤوفا رحيما. اللهم إنا ظلمنا أنفسنا ظلما كثيرا، ولا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت، فاغفر لنا مغفرة من عندك وارحمنا إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم، وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. آمين.